just a boy. Christmas brought so much joy. Couldn't wait for the presents and laughter. I couldn't sleep late at night, looking for Santa with lights. Those are the memories I still remember. Then I became a man, lost sight of who I am, but right in front of me was the answer. 'Cause on Christmas I feel joy, and I turn back to a boy. The answer is to stay young forever. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song.
Hello, Star Wars fans. You know, there's 285 days until Christmas 2024. And we've got some Star Wars news to talk about today. You know, apparently, every movie that's ever been announced is still on the board. And we're going to talk with Jason Ward from MakingStarWars.net. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. I'm blurry today.
You're blurry.
Yeah, they added a new effect onto the camera, and I'm messing with it, and I'm blurry. See, blurry.
Okay. Yeah, look there. And hey, Meg's in the chat. Star Wars is nearly dead. Luckily, Bad Batch is good. No, Meg. You spend too much time on Twitter, Meg, or X, or social media. Step away from the social media. It's all good. Life is sunshine and spring. Flowers are going to be coming up any moment. It's a beautiful time to be alive, and it's a wonderful time to be a Star Wars fan. How about that? Couple of things off the top is you guys may see all of a sudden Santa disappear and run. That's because my wife had a doctor's appointment. She's out. She's got a package that's supposed to be delivered here, and she's given me strict instructions. If it comes, you better get it. Like,
so
okay.
When you say disappear, you don't mean like just your robes are there, right?
No.
Okay.
No, not becoming one with the Force.
Okay.
I'll go get the package and come back. So Jason's prepared to cover for me should I need to do that, and we may get another guest or two during the show to help carry the weight.
Maybe.
And then my wife's going to show up with lunch, and we've got all kinds of stuff.
She gave me Panera bread, so it's going to be cool.
Yeah, we talked about that. We did right before the show. So that's what's going on here. If all of a sudden I have to run, that's what's going on. You guys know that all is good. And then we've got Star Wars news. Well, not only do we have the Bad Batch, which is nearing half season, right? Isn't there 15, 16 episodes this season? Trying to remember.
Yeah. I think there was 16. I think there was less than before, but by one or something, right? Am I wrong about that? Anyway,
no, I think it's 16 because when I started doing the predictions stuff and getting ready for the season, I created the season leaderboard and I put 16 episodes on there. I think that's because there were 16 episodes. But
okay.
I could be wrong, which would make next week's episode the halfway episode.
Yeah.
Which is very, very exciting to consider. A Sabersmith says there's 15. Okay, I could be wrong. Yeah, 15. 15 is, which would still put us, next week's episode puts you just over halfway because it would be 7.5. We've had 7. So that would, it still works out. Still works out that next week's episode is the halfway episode. Halfway through next week's episode is halfway through the season.
Meg doesn't get it because it's metric or something. Just trust us, Meg. We know what we're doing.
Meg's a musician, so what's she know about math?
You know.
Oh wait, yeah, it's Math and music go strong together. So, because you got half notes, quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes, all of those it's all division. And then you got these little dots.
I just listen. The math part is stupid. You don't need it. Just listen. That's it. Easy.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, because what do you do if you get an eighth note with a dot right after it? Then it makes
I do like a super cool bend and I put it back here and I'm like, what? What now? Take that, Meg. Teach that in your guitar lessons, Meg.
It's great. It's great. No, so yeah, next week's episode puts us just past the halfway point, and then we've got 7 more episodes coming, which is fantastic. It's absolutely great. And I'm enjoying the season tremendously. I have seen it's not for everyone. The Bad Batch certainly is not for everyone.
I could have erased the whole episode with just a character, though, realizing if I take the gun and I put it on Omega and I say, Omega, I'm really your friend. I'm not going to shoot you, but I'm going to make them think I'm going to shoot you. We could do whatever we want. And then they could have just been like, nope. And then they could have just been like, you do fire it. We'll just end it right here. That's it. That's how that right there would have been the thing. But those clones are dumb. Wrecker, dumb. Hunter, dumb. That was the answer. That's what I would have done. Because they could have just got away. Like the whole like respect standoff at the end, where they're like, I thought you died and all that stuff. No, dude, I don't want to hear it. You're a traitor. I'll just shoot the Emperor's thing right here, and then they'll be like, oh, whoa. So
but the whole thing again
off because those other guys are going to get killed now for letting them go. There's like 25 of them there. One's going to snitch. There's always a snitch. So just saying.
Well, Wolf, he's in Rebels, and Rebels is after this,
right?
So, yeah.
Oh yeah, all his friends die. All his friends get killed though. They're all dead.
Probably everybody that was there with him. Yeah. Meg says, Santa, you supposedly have all the leaks. Look, when you get over 50, things happen.
Yeah,
I can't help it. It's not my fault.
No, we just put a little pad down and he's fine.
Yeah,
we call him Padmes.
The older you get, the more that happens to you in life, and it just can't be helped. It happens to women too, especially if you have kids. And I don't know if kids are in your future or not, Meg, but there you have it. there's that. Oh my goodness. Meg says, Jason, theorize away. Santa will say you're wrong. Meg's salty because I DM'd her. I DM'd her this morning after her video, and we chatted. Well, I chatted towards her. She didn't respond. She's mad at me. She's like, Santa ruins all my fun. It's just like when I'd like to theorize things and you like, Santa, stop. That's not happening. I'm like, shut up, Jason.
Yeah, there is no Christmas in Star Wars. Stop. But everything is Christmas in Star Wars all the time.
So we're going to transition just a little bit.
Okay.
And I'm giving Meg a hard time. I don't think she's mad at me. I'm teasing. Hey, Leia Rose, good to see you. When Lucasfilm,
Meg said, I'll adopt. I know you're against it, but they deserve loving parents.
See, she's poking. She's like, no, I don't. I love. Look, my dad was adopted, so there you go. I'm not really.
That's where the hate starts. You and your dad should talk. You guys should get over those issues you have.
That's right. No. There's a lot of news out there, and our friend Bespin Bulletin has shared some of it. But it seems that if Lucasfilm doesn't say it, then it's anybody's guess. And there's things
and they don't say anything. They don't say anything. Right. So everybody's guessing. and then they go, "Oh, why are these fans so stupid?" Well,
Right.
why? Because you guys communicate. You have the worst communication out of any franchise in the world, I'd say.
And I'm starting to wonder, though, Jason, are they purposely doing it to discredit everybody so that they're like, all these news sites that you think know Star Wars don't know Star Wars. The people who know Star Wars is us. And if you, thanks, Meg. Thank you so much. Love you so much. She is the best. She posted a real fun tweet this week, and I saw you responded. It was great. I responded. We had a good time. She's an absolutely fantastic person.
It was flattered that she said that about me.
I know. It's calling you a legend and all of that. Is pretty.
It's a bit much, but I get it. I'm pretty amazing.
So I'm wondering if they're not trying to discredit all the news sites by saying, "Oh, you think something's canceled? Guess what? Not canceled. You think something's happening? Oh, guess what? Not happening. You think
You're giving them too much credit. You're giving them way, way, way too much credit right now. There is no plan. It's chaos. It's anarchy. No one is controlling anything. I've
said that before.
We're just moving through time.
Jason, I'm trying to get hired by them.
Okay. They really know what they're doing over there. They have a grand plan like George Lucas always did. He didn't make it up as he went ever.
No. Everything is planned out.
Sen has always said that. He's always said that to me. I've had my doubts, and he's always set me straight.
Lucasfilm, 100% reliable. 100%. They never.
Said, hey, when you want to leak something, how about you put a little pad down and you leak there, buddy, and don't do it. That's what he told me. He's against it.
That's right. No, they make me crazy. They make me absolutely crazy because they leave us. Yeah, okay, shill. I know. I know. But they make me absolutely nuts because they clear up all of this stuff by just posting the truth. And
well, Jedi Mike says, like, Lucasfilm PR, don't think about it too much. And what's funny is we have on pretty good authority. There's this one newer guy at the PR place in Lucasfilm PR, and he's like, Bespin Bulletin making Star Wars. They don't play by the rules. They don't even like contact us, and they don't play ball. And it's just like, who the F are you? I never even talked to you. If we're supposed to be playing ball, buddy, I haven't even seen you on the field. I haven't even seen you with your glove. You know what I mean? No. And like when we did try to talk to them in the past, or when I tried, they were like, yeah. Contact us and like let us get a chance to deny it or to confirm it or to like ask you not to do it or whatever. I would do it, and they would just give me the runaround and perpetually push it back. I'd be like, it's been 4 days. What's up? It's been 8 days. Now what's up? And then like 2 weeks went by, and I was like, okay, I quit with you guys. But that's the kind of game that they play on somebody who's small like me. They do the same kind of stuff to the bigger people. That's why Star Wars eventually has the press turn on it, though. That's what happened during the prequels. And I know it's a little bit different. A lot of the same people were there. A lot of the same people were there during the prequel era that were there during the sequel trilogy era. And they're the same people who had the journalists all turned on them because they had been kind of screwed over and, given the runaround over time, and they play favorites and all that kind of stupid stuff. And so the whole thing has changed a lot, though, in the last 5 years, but I don't have any indication it's any better. It looks like it's exactly the same.
No, and
they're better with Marvel. That's what's so weird. They're like these spiteful little babies with Star Wars. With Marvel, they're like, oh, you leak stuff? How about you chill and come to the premiere and stop a little bit and be a little bit cooler? Like they play ball. The Star Wars people don't know how to play ball. It's really weird, and they just it's sort of arrogant in a way. Not my shit aside. So my stuff aside, like when it just comes to the like communicating what page they're on, or being like, we're not even just going like, we're not ready to talk about things right now, but we're thinking probably like next month we'll have some updates for you. Probably, like using open language, but that kind of gives people some sort of direction of where this is going. But did you hear the stuff with that from Snyder yesterday about like the Rogue Squadron film, like what he said about it?
We're going to jump into that and well, I didn't hear Jeff Snyder's. I saw Bespin's post on it. I didn't hear anything from Jeff.
Did he? I don't know if Bespin did a second story or not, but basically Jeff was like, "Yeah, this isn't the Rogue Squadron movie may or may not happen, but it ain't." He said basically that it ain't happening with her, and yeah, she does owe them a draft, and that's just to get the paycheck. Well, it's not anything.
So I was watching TRB. They covered it last night, and I was watching them this morning, and they said that could be what is going on. Like she signed a contract.
Well, they can't. Did they credit Snyder?
I can't remember. I was.
They didn't. They're just literally plagiarizing what his scoop was or what his point was. But yeah,
it wasn't from the. It was TRB podcast. It wasn't like the Star Wars Newsnet stuff. There's just TRB.
Oh yeah, they're all the same. I don't see a difference.
Well, because they separated off. The people at Star Wars Newsnet are different folks now, right? But anyway, doesn't matter.
Trust me, it's the same.
Okay. I was doing my my job over here on my other computer. Yeah. And I had them playing behind me as I'm listening, as I'm coding. And when I'm coding, a lot of times I don't keep up with what they're saying.
You call yourself Commander Cody when you're doing it? When you're coding?
I'm trying to solve a problem. But then I'll hear something, I'll rewind it and I'll listen to it and try to make it out. But I did hear mention of what you just said, that perhaps she's just fulfilling her contractual obligations to submit a draft. It's due by whenever, and so she's going to do that. Maybe. Yeah. But here's the thing. Whether it's Jeff or Jason or Bespin or even if you Variety or anybody, right? Mm-hmm. We don't know how much veracity is behind any of it. Hard to say. Yeah. And Kathleen Kennedy comes out and one time says something that seems to say, yeah, that Rogue Squadron thing, we thought it'd be cool, but it just didn't happen. And then she comes out and says, oh, that Rogue Squadron thing, it's totally going to happen.
Like the thing that makes me doubt not like say like Jeff is wrong or lying or something like that, or Snyder, is that I don't know why they would have signed the second deal. That is the part of it that to me, I'm missing something or something doesn't compute or doesn't make sense. I don't understand. You know what I mean? And so that just, yeah. So it still wouldn't surprise me because I'm just of the opinion right now, when we look at all of the movies, everybody thinks it's a big mess. But I think it's only looks like it's a big mess if you kind of don't see that it appears they are attempting to set up a future where practically every year there's a Star Wars movie. And when one falls through, they skip that year and it's fine. But everybody's like, oh, they're doing too much now. It's all over. And it's like, I don't think it is, if the idea is that when we get about 5 years out, we just have a continual stream of Star Wars films that are basically coming every year. And when that happens, you do need there to be like 9 movies in pre-production of some form or development to make that possible. And that's where I think it's at personally.
Well, I think that would be fantastic, and I think it might be even optimistic to say that we think maybe even half of these are happening. Mm-hmm. But if these are years out and they're just stacking them up for, say, 2026, 27, 28, 29, and we've got that much time to make it happen, then great. But because you've got time to review the scripts, you've got time to um, make changes, you got times to tweak them, you've got plenty of time to get it right, which I think is the most important thing when it comes to a Star Wars movie. Is it needs to get it right. We can't have hit and miss. It's got to be hit and hit and hit.
I think this next era is not going to be that. I think this next era is going to be what happens if we let Sean Levy make a Star Wars movie? What happens if we let Taika make a Star Wars movie? What happens, and then where does it go? Because it can't stay the same. If it stays exactly the same and Star Wars doesn't change with modern filmmaking, then it becomes entirely too tropey and it falls off and it dies. I mean, we're seeing that across the board with 80s franchises. They don't make the money anymore just from being an 80s nostalgic piece. All those people have all aged out. They're not in the market anymore. Go to the movies. They're not 40 years old anymore. I'm the oldest guy in the movie theater when I go now. You know what I mean? And so Star Wars is going to have to change, and the old people aren't going to like it, but they don't matter because they don't even buy anything anyway. I mean, that's really where they're at. I think they're actually in a place where these movies are going to be probably making in the ballpark of 500 million.
Yeah, no, I don't think everyone has to be a grand slam.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong. Right, you can hit a single or a double. Right, you can get it in the field. On base. That'd be great.
Yeah.
To keep using the sports ball analogy, right? All of that works, but if you end up with, look,
Baymax says Ghostbusters is doing fine. I love Ghostbusters. It's probably my fourth most loved franchise, but I love it a lot. That said, Ghostbusters Afterlife made $200 million. It would be crazy to imagine that Ghostbusters Frozen Empire makes 400 million. Do you think it's going to make 200% what the last one did? It's not. It's probably going to be around 250 million in the end. Then that's Ghostbusters. And all of that is with the built-in people, but mostly with the new people. But it's not that big. That one is really, really fallen off. Indiana Jones couldn't even pay for itself this last year. That's where Batman 89 came out. The Batman 89 Batman, Michael Keaton came back for Flash. Also couldn't get arrested. So that's where we're at now. And we have these things that us old guys have seen as accepted truths. That's the best. It is forever the best. No, there's been like 5 generations now that have come by who just don't care. Who just
we've talked about this too. We talked about this too with Ghostbusters specifically.
Yeah,
is they are now doing the transition, bringing in the old guys, the 80s guys to portray their roles, at the same time introducing a new
the Force Awakens model. Which right? Ghostbusters Afterlife got slapped around for. That was the end of it. When they did that one, that's when people turned on Ghostbusters.
But we got this new one coming out that looks to be pretty good. But
I'm going first showing. I'm in, for the record, just to be clear.
We've got a couple of chats here I've got to address.
Okay.
One of them, Trucker Mark, celebrating 16 months of membership, says, "Ho ho ho, wow. Santa! I'm in Shokopee, New Minnesota." I saw a video about these town names and places in Minnesota. They're all unpronounceable. And I also learned a new term. There's a new term called Minnesota. Right. So
Minnesota, I am. Yeah.
Then Matt Risman did this just to annoy you, Jason. He did this to annoy you and me at the same time, because he knows how much you love Meghan Trainor's music. You listen to it on repeat.
No, look what you did, Risman. Look what you did.
Look, he did this. He knew what he was doing when he did it, and he did it anyway. He says, "I've heard there's a new rumor that the next movie is going to be directed by Rian Johnson. It's going to be called Plagueis."
A Palpatine story.
A Palpatine story. Matt Risman being naughty.
Yeah.
If you super chat a Plagueis quote, you're going on the naughty list because that book is should have been titled Plagueis, a Palpatine story. It would have made it a better book, but that alone would have improved it. But then you've got other problems throughout the book that are just Plagueis with problems. Yeah, it's not good. It's not a good book. In Santa's opinion, everybody else loves it, but not Santa, and that's how you get on the naughty list. It's a common thing here now. And then Jason, it puts that earworm in there, and then he's stuck with it.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't stick at all. It's pretty good. It's fine. On that one, it's fine. It's so bad I can't even remember it. Yeah.
Nerd Mafia, thank you for the 21 months of membership.
Wow.
He's been supporting the channel for so long. We appreciate it. Yeah. Jedi Mike says Shakopee. Maybe. That sounds good. Sounds good.
Was that Yaddle's Jedi Master?
Oh,
sounds like a Jedi prequel name.
Shakopee, whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you, Jedi Mike. Another super chat for $1 there. Put Sith Santa emoji. Thank you for that. And then, see, Rizman knew what he was doing. He did it on purpose. Yeah. Megan Trainor has a new song coming. I have her on my playlist. Every time I start it, it starts the Megan Trainor songs. I absolutely
Phil Collins is a pathway to abilities someone considered to be unnatural. I think that's how you got here. I think it was down the Collins. Kids, pay attention. Starts with Phil Collins. It ends with Megan Trainor.
Max says Santa wants a Plagueis hot toy. No, I'll tell you what. What would make Santa happy is to see Plagueis being kept on life support at Tantus. And they're drawing his blood out and keeping him barely alive. That would be great. That would just make my day. It would be very exciting. I just hate the book. I don't hate the concept of Plagueis. In fact, I love it. The concept of Plagueis is great. The book is terrible, though. It makes you think you're going to get content that you don't get. It's not good. And then the content that it does give you isn't even real. It doesn't match to the Star Wars universe. There's things that have happened that and the biggest example is Maul. The way that Maul comes about and the way he gets trained up and the way he ends up being Palpatine's apprentice, 100% different than the book. Not the same. So if the book's about Palpatine, and one of the things about Palpatine,
he's totally got in your head right now, right? You've just been Risman. You're going off about a book that you're not even doing now. You just got Risman hard.
I know. This is what happens. This is what happens. You get me. You get me all frustrated. That's fun. It's great. So you guys, there's a couple stories about movies coming out, or maybe they are, maybe they're not. We don't know. There's so many announcements, and in the thumbnail for today's video, we'll have to replace it when I get a chance. Here, let me see if I can actually open this in the browser so that you all can see it. This is the thumbnail we're going to be posting, right? It's you get a movie and you get a movie and you get a movie. What are we to believe? Who's actually getting a movie? And that's the question, right? Patty Jenkins has said, well, first of all, we go back here. I was reading from bottom up, but Patty says she's still working on Rogue Squadron, and there's an audio you can hear her on the podcast talking about the specifics of it, and Bespin covers it well here, but the TLDR of it is that she says just prior to the writer's strike, she signed a contract to work on the Rogue Squadron movie, and she's actively working on it. She owes them a draft, and that's what she's doing. And she explains that there was Wonder Woman involved and different things, but now it's Star Wars. She's talked to Kathy Kennedy. She's signed a new contract, and she's writing. That's the short of it.
Yeah.
What? Is it going to happen? Is it not? Bespin says he personally doesn't believe it will happen. Just your own personal take, not what you've heard or what other people think. What do you think?
I think that what's going to happen is you're going to have all of these various Star Wars movies in various stages of development, and then the dominoes will start to fall. And then there will be a point where there's a snag. Like, let's just pretend the Rey movie loses Obaid Chinoy to the Will Smith movie she was supposed to do. Something like that happens. And then they're like, well, it is completely feasible to get Rogue Squadron up in 6 months, and we could be in production and we could make that other window. Then that's when I think it happens. That's how I think this goes. That's why I think you have Taika. That's why you have all of these various, people developing Star Wars films for different reasons. And one of the things that I also think is going on is I'm of the opinion, it's barely an informed opinion, but it's an informed opinion to some degree, that Rogue Squadron, Taika, and Rey's movie all take place at the same time. And so these movies may actually feed into each other and be reconfigured to be the successor or the sequel to one another as they do roll out. And the development of those things will change depending on which one actually makes it. Like the Rey one should be the first one of the era, but then everything else I think will fall into line with that idea. And I think that's also why you had Lindelof. That's why you had a writer's room. That's why you had so many big meetings with other creatives around that stuff, because it was about those opportunities and what they could mean. So I do think that there is somewhat of a rhyme and a reason to it, but at the same time, it is still really fluid and flexible. So do I think Patty Jenkins will, what I bet on Patty Jenkins making Rogue Squadron, I would probably bet against it. There being a Rogue Squadron film in the end in some way, I would probably say, yeah, that one is inevitable. Rey's New Jedi Order, a Rogue Squadron film, the first Jedi film, all of this stuff is going to happen. These are all very basic Star Wars concepts that will happen. Will they happen with these filmmakers is like the big question, I think, because not only, but what could also happen is something that I think we should just probably, it could happen. You could have somebody like Patty Jenkins or Taika develop something for years all the way up to the finish line and then not be able to do it for some reason. And then that's when somebody else comes and takes it over, working on what they built. That's completely, I think, on the table. And in fact, there is a chance that we could see, what's his name? The guy who did Indiana Jones, who's doing the first Jedi movie. I keep wanting to say Goldman. What's his name? Mangold. James Mangold, for instance. He was not the first person to tackle this idea for Lucasfilm. We know that the guy who did Vader Immortal wrote. Thank you, Matt. That did Vader Immortal started the concept and turned in a script for them on it, and then they weren't in a place where they wanted to make that movie at that time. It just fell wayside. People moved on. Whatever. Right? Maybe it wasn't that good. But the point is, we don't know how much Mangold is developing on what he did, on what was done from the Vader Immortal writer. And so all that kind of stuff right there, people think that everything is for nothing, and that could be the case. Like the assumption is this is all just, it gets thrown in the trash. We just throw the papers up in the air and walk out of the room, and then a janitor comes and sweeps it up, and that was that. Might be, but also it might be that they are actually doing multiple passes, building on something the whole time. That could be the case. It's possible.
Yeah. I hope that what it means is that they're working really hard to come up with great stories. In and again, whether those are singles, doubles, triples, or home runs, I'd be happy in any of those. Right?
Mhm.
Like, give me a good movie that's enjoyable. It doesn't have to be a grand slam home run. We don't have to win the ball game on it, but it needs to be enjoyable, fun that people like.
Mhm.
For the
Yeah.
most part. And I'm also not of any illusion that anything is going to be universally liked. Right?
Mhm.
That ship has sailed when Star Wars created the second movie. Right?
It's their Star Wars has too broad of a demographic politically and geographically for that to be the case. It's
Yeah,
just not. It's just impossible. Like, and there's multi generations of fans who gravitate towards various aspects that are different. The prequels are different from the sequel trilogy.
Well,
So
and I wanted to touch base on something there. You're exactly right. And I wanted to address Mike Porter's chat, and there's a couple others I want to get to too. But Mike said the question is, will we see a Star Wars movie in my lifetime? I'm 60, not getting any younger. Oh, that's true. Same for me, right? I'm past 55, right? I'm closer to 60 than 50, and that just means we're not getting any younger. Time is passing, but we have to remember that Star Wars has been this way. George Lucas was this way. When he created the original Star Wars, we didn't know if we would ever get another Star Wars movie after Return of the Jedi. There was no promise. There were interviews, there were things, but there was no promise. It wasn't until Phantom Menace was announced, and then the hype went off the rails. But then after the prequels, he said, the story's done. No more. Right. And then you're like, oh, that's it. No more Star Wars ever in my life. Not going to get another movie ever. Then we get Lucasfilm being bought by Disney, and the announcement, we are getting more Star Wars. Super exciting. We're getting more Star Wars. And again, you can go back and read where George said, oh, I've got 9 movies, 12 movies, 27 movies, whatever. No, I made that last part up. But there were different times George said different things about his story arc, and if it was done or not done, and how long it would be or not. But all that's irrelevant when it was just the general public thinking, well, that's it. No more Star Wars ever. But now under Disney, we do have a promise of another movie. It's not like it was when it was like, there's no more Star Wars. That's it. We're done. So I do think we will get another one, and I do think it's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years.
They're working. They're not filming, but they're working on the Mando movies right now. Right now, I mean, I could go, and if you were here, I could take you and show you there's movement. Things are going slow, but things are getting ready. So you are gonna. So everybody needs to remember that they are gonna get their like 2 Mando movies. I would say at least, and I think those 2 Mando movies are the ones that are just like, it would take. I mean, honestly, like Jon Favreau having a heart attack and dying tonight, I think, to make that one not happen. You know what I mean? I think it's going to. It would take something catastrophic, I think, for it not to happen.
Yeah. So Mike Yaney, he's got a brilliant idea, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
We get Phil Collins to cover Naughty List in a movie about Darth Plagueis.
Those dumb drum sounds he does when he records the thing through the monitor. Just like, come on, man.
Mike Yaney wants to Naughty List. That'd be the theme song for the Darth Plagueis movie, but it'd be a Phil Collins cover of Meghan Trainor. See, they love you as much as they do me, Jason. It's all good. Yeah. It's all good. Real Ben said, I'll never forget after Revenge of the Sith, I asked my grandma if there's ever going to be another Star Wars again. And she was like, oh, yeah, they'll make them eventually because they want more money. That's true.
Grandma's cynical, but she's not wrong. And that's,
yeah. And Dale said, I'm sure George always had the idea of at least 3 trilogies in mind, but he let the fandom sway him from time to time. I don't know. You said it earlier. We were joking.
Initially, he was selling the 12 movie idea, but that 12 movie idea always comes out of him and Kenner talking to their stock videos that were sent out for investors to try to get investors in on it, and that was like to make them think that. But George is like, he's like a creative guy in the sense that you'll be like, oh, but Darth Maul's supposed to be Darth Maul. Oh yeah, he just thought he was Darth Maul. He's just good at like, he's kind of like, I mean this like not like he's a liar, but he's a good liar. So if you say like something and he has to be wrong, he's like, oh no, just Darth Maul didn't have a dad. Like he'll just say something like that, and then it's like, yeah, that's what I planned, and you can't argue with him because it's not real. So I think in a perfect world, if Marcia Lucas didn't say like you need to slow down, you need to stop, and then the divorce didn't happen and stuff, he probably could have done 12 if there was no one to get in his way, if there was no one to be like, you're messing up our life, kind of stuff. And then, but in reality, we can see the work that he had. Like it's out, it's in those archives books and stuff like that. There really was this like it was all so vague and stuff like, oh, a movie about Wookiees and it's like anthropology. It's like, yeah, it sounds fun, George, but that definitely was not going to make its money back. Stuff like that. So, right. But that's the concept of Star Wars, like Lord of the Rings. It's like, you could just continually make up new stuff and do new things. Right. It's a fantastic like sandbox or whatever. And so so money will always drive creatives into the sandbox, and we'll never run out of it. But like I always say, you can be really cynical about things and be like, oh, the next Star Wars is going to be the worst one. But one little one-off ones that's coming that we don't even care about, not saying it's going to be Rogue Squadron, but just imagine it is, might be the one that kicks off an actual like renaissance. The best Star Wars movies might not have been made yet. That's the fun of it. And when new creatives come in, like we just don't know what's like George Lucas, one of my favorite filmmakers. But honestly, if George Lucas didn't create Star Wars and just made THX, American Graffiti, and Willow, and then came into Stars, I'd be like, this guy's gonna blow it. You know what I mean? Like so. We have people with better pedigrees than George Lucas coming in to make Star Wars films these days, and so there's always an opportunity that it's going to be something cool. I think that's why I keep following it.
Yeah, well, and I'm always optimistic, and I know there's plenty of reason. I don't want to be Charlie Brown and Lucy, right? I don't want to be so optimistic that I believe everything they say, and I go full swing on that football every time. I don't want to do that, but I want to be optimistic enough to say that I think some of this will happen.
Unless you're a Star Wars gamer, in which case, just give up. After the week they've had, just give up, you guys.
Yeah. So what was this? Real Ben said, I'm not going to lie, I love the prequels. But every time I see clips of young Mark, Harrison, and Carrie from the 90s and early 2000s, it makes me sad, wishing they had done an ST with them. That's my point, Ben. And that's been a contention I had since after the prequels concluded. I'm like, that wasn't the trilogy I wanted. The trilogy I wanted was the sequels that George could have done instead of the prequels. As I had prequel regret after the movies came out.
Well, it's like we wanted that, and then which is, so it's actually like George Lucas's fault explicitly that it didn't happen, and then we end up where Disney takes over, and then people are tacitly angry that Disney didn't somehow go and CGI them into being their young 90s selves in the new films with them as the only characters in the movie, while at the same time crying about the CGI in the prequels and how they don't want that. So they said, you can't do that. You can't do the CGI thing, But so they did the only actual option that was really on the table was the characters are old and new people come in and that they interact and then they push on. And that was it. And so there you have it. But anybody who went into this new era thinking that it was going to be anything but that was delusional from the very start.
Well, we have the same thing going on, and Rob's joined us. But let me just say this, and then Rob, thank you for joining. But we have the same thing we have too much Star Wars. We don't have enough Star Wars. It's the exact same thing. Fans are saying, "Oh, you haven't done Star Wars in so long. You guys suck." And then they're like, "You're doing too much Star Wars. It's been watered down. We shouldn't do Star Wars so much." And it's like,
eventize it. I'm Kathy Kennedy, and I made up a word. It's called eventize. Remember that?
yeah. But that, and that was
it's fun.
Some of what's going around with the Disney Plus stuff is you're watering it down too much. There's too much Star Wars, and at the same time,
you're thirsty. Don't drink, nerd. That's what I say.
We should get a Star Wars movie every year. What's wrong with you guys?
Yeah.
You
don't have to go. It's just that easy. If there's too much and you don't want to do it, then just don't do it. I don't go see every I like the Marvel movies. I like to go see them. I see them with the kids and stuff. I don't go see all of them. I didn't see Ant-Man. Didn't care. Just didn't go. It's fine.
And Dale, my point is he should have done the sequels instead of the prequels, because you have Mark, Carey, Harrison, right? You have everybody. Then you could do your prequels, because you're going to have to recast for that anyway. You got entirely different characters anyway. Why not do the movie?
When he was doing prequels, though, it was more of a novel concept, though. Like we had prequel-itis after it, and we could all go like, prequels, come on, But before that, we really had like Temple of Doom was kind of like the prequel, like of a movie that we could really like of a huge film. I can't think of any small ones either, but what Godfather and then Godfather 2 was like sort of a prequel sequel, and I would say that the prequel sequel is probably the most pop idea that he could have done, but he didn't have the mindset to do something with that amount of narrative structure in it. When you just look at what he did with the prequels, you know what I mean? Like you were talking about yesterday on the show yesterday, Rob, you were like, yeah, he implies like a lot of stuff, but basically I think the thesis of it was he implied a bunch and didn't want to do the work to actually earn the implication. Is that what you were kind of getting at when we're talking yesterday about what he did with the prequels, where you were like, they need to go back to just making adventure stories, and that's fine and that's fun. And then but instead
I think what I was trying to also clarify, because some people came at me after the show and were like, you're just saying Star Wars can't have any like reality to it, or and I'm like, or drama, and I'm like, no, I want to be clear. I want emotional journeys, emotional adventures, or emotions. People have emotions every day: rage, happiness, Santa with his disappointment every time he sees our show, usually in the first 5 minutes, and and so I don't like implied emotion, and the prequels are filled with, if we put a guy and he looks angry all of a sudden and they play some music, now he's angry, and I'm like, that's not really achieved, like. It's just implied that it's achieved, and we all go in our head, no, see, it happened on screen, so it did, and then in your head you remember it a certain way, and then we all have to talk about people's remembering of what they saw and not what was actually on the screen, and then that just gets
when the cruel shove effect has worked so well for you that you think you can actually like script around it. That's kind of I think there too, right? All of that 100%. Stuff, like 3PO, it was all about the eye and stuff like that, and it's like, well, there's not really a lot there on 3PO. But we put it there for us who care. Right.
Aggressively relaxing. It did a perfect internet troll. This is how the internet creates news, right? They said, I forgot. Lucas and Filoni, they hate each other now, right? They had a big public falling out. George doesn't talk to him anymore, right? Like, that's how the internet works, right?
Yeah. Well, he keeps wanting to go to In-N-Out, and their fries suck. All right, I'm not eating there. Okay, so we don't hang out anymore. Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, only at Panda Express, and occasionally the Red Onion You know, I like that.
Well, thanks for
Red
clearing
Robin.
that up,
Sorry.
George.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I love your work. All right. Keep ignoring those starving children in Haiti. All right. Bye. Oh, damn, Santa.
Man, George.
Oh man.
To be
George-
fair, he's a bearded man who wears red too, Santa. And
I
there's
know,
a little competition.
That's
Little
true.
competition.
be
Little
Santa, too.
competition.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Glad that's
I need
cleared
to
up.
step away for a second. I'll be back.
Oh no, he's leaving us in charge,
I'll be back.
Jason.
I know.
We gotta be
I'm
on our
scared.
best behavior.
I'm scared.
We'll be good. We'll be good.
I'll be
Santa.
back.
We'll be fine.
Okay.
We'll be good.
What is
I just want to.
the game for your background though?
That's the Game Boy Advance Episode 3 game, man. The Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
I told you, I wish they had this crew had did the whole every game. You know what I mean? Like they'd gone back and done episodes 1 and 2 and the original trilogy because they never did anything like it. But it's super good, man. Like
wow, yeah,
character designs.
I've heard you talk about it, but I never played it, never even looked at it. That's neat.
Yeah, it holds up. It holds up. But I just think like again, man, like more people will be excited if there was a storyline they were looking forward to, right? Collectively. Like it's kind of like imagine we got that Turtles movie. Now we're all looking forward to the next one and probably the series. But like if they had put out like there's Turtles now and then there's like a Shredder movie and then like an April film and then there was like 100 years ago there were these other Turtles and it gets all confusing to people. Like sad to say. It's not to you and me, but I think to the average audience that is having a hard time dealing with multiverse stories.
Right.
Star Wars on different timelines is a whole nother. They don't keep track of timelines, you know.
Yeah.
They just
No,
don't.
it's that's how I feel. Like Marvel is my go-to because I will consume it, but I don't really care about the minutia.
Right.
So like when there's stuff that happens in Marvel movies, and I'm like, why was that important? And then you guys will tell me, and I'll be like, yeah, I still don't care. And that's how I think most people are. You know, most of the non-hardcore fans, but they do need them if they want to make enough money to make them for the hardcore fans still.
Well, I'm sympathetic to Lucasfilm in that, you know, what how do I say this? Like, okay, every time you start like a new Star Wars now, because of the prequels, really, and the fans that grew up with it for 20 plus years now, they want to know, well, what's the government like now? And what's all the stuff they complained about when episode 1 came out, and everyone's expecting to know that that's there in the film. And it's like, you got to like tell what the government is, or you got to like tell what's going on with the central, you know, system of like control. And it's just like, obviously JJ ignored that. And I think had that been more well laid out, and maybe they had planned it as like a 4-film thing, you could have said, hey, the first one's fun, kind of get you in there. Then we'll start to dig deeper as we go. Right. With each one, it gets more deeper and deeper versus throwing all the stuff at you in one film. Might be the way to go moving forward. But I do think they got to nail, you know, some sort of like, when I say high adventure, that can still have violence, you know, that can still have dramatic conceit, you know, but it just doesn't need to be nostalgia driven or timeline driven. I think that's getting us nowhere, right? Like,
Well, and there's there is like a little something about like the like adventure momentum that can be missing from Star Wars. Like when Luke gets the like little rope out and throws it on the thing and they swing across the chasm. We don't really see that today. That's one thing that they have never been able to really capture in these new films, I think. And that's something that like would be nice to get back. And I think the prequels kind of took that off the table because they were different. You weren't thinking in those terms. Padme and dressed up as a giant clown couldn't really do that, could she? for most of that kind of stuff. And then now that it like people have grown up with that, it's like not there. So yeah, they need to go back. For some of the stuff, they need to go back to A New Hope and like really study the bones of it from a different perspective than they have, I think.
Well, I'm back. Thank you so much for sharing that. But aggressively relaxing had a followed up. So you're saying George Lucas is still stuck in unfortunate position of being a billionaire, and the guy in charge of his world Dave Filoni, would just continue to do whatever he says, whatever George says. Yeah, I think that Filoni has such an admiration for George, first of all, an appreciation for him, and a debt of gratitude for bringing him into this franchise that he loves. And then he has such a huge love for the franchise that he wants to adhere as closely as possible to George's tenets as he can. So yeah, I think that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah, it is a problem though when everything is about honoring somebody else's idea. It becomes a fantasy. You know what I mean? It's a bunch of fantasy ideals. Oh, what did George intend? You can play that game all the time. You see people do it in politics. What did the founding fathers? Nobody knows. It's a game. It's just done to like usually push the perspective or the agenda of whatever you want to do. This is what George intended and stuff like that. Unless George is saying it. Unless George is like literally saying it. But
they're also using that, Jason, I think, as look, I'm conjecturing here, but I feel like as a form of excuse, not just him, but maybe even Favreau, in that they are presenting to us stories in which the characters don't actually react to a lot of the drama that's happening to them. They're kind of like reacting to where the plot needs to go, you know, and then they're saying, well, I did that, you know, I mean, he hasn't said this, but it's being implied. Well, that's how George would do it. Or the fans are saying that's how George would do it. I'm like, that's not the lesson to take away from what George was doing. I mean, if you really want to go back to the first film, I mean, which I always do, it's like, you know, he was coming off American Graffiti. He shot American Graffiti like a documentary. That was his whole idea. He shot things like documentaries. And with Star Wars, he wanted to create a fantastical world with swashbuckling adventure and all that stuff, but he wanted to shoot it as if you were really there, like a documentary. He even tried to use Super 16 film, but the grain on the film was too much for the visual effects for optical compositing. It would never have worked. They had to go with, was it Super 35 or something, which is super clean. So when it degrades, it looks like normal film. Yeah. So, but when it degraded, it still had that grit, and that's why that first film has a lot of those warm tones, that filmic, you know, grit, and it's shot from like, you know, sort of either the droids, you know, point of view, or when I say droids, like it's kind of a kid's point of view, like it's a person's point of view, as if they were experiencing the action themselves. And I feel like the prequels pull you away from that, right? Like you're kind of like observing, you're not emotionally there in having the action with them, except maybe a couple moments like in the pod race, you know, or like the Darth Maul fight's a good one, when Anakin gets his limbs cut off and he's screaming, sure, you know. But for the most part, it's not there. It's like when Jango Fett's dad's head get cut off, and then, you know, it's like, oh, it's kind of sad. Like, I mean, I'd be like, I'm going to kill all these guys. You get your ship out, you blow them all. The kid loved to blow stuff up. Like, what would a psychopathic bounty hunter kid do in that moment? I don't think he'd be too somber about it. He'd be raging. So
he pulls the head out. He's like, look what you did to my father.
One time we let Jason just die in Fortnite, and Luke just killed us all. Like, he just turned on us and took out the whole team. So
the way it goes, yeah.
Yeah. No, aggressively relaxing gets it right. I'm convinced. Like earlier, I knew he was going this direction. He's saying it here too, right? Like there's all these shows that say, "Oh, they're disrespecting George. Nobody listens to him," and on and on and on. And then all these behind the scenes shows, you see George in the background. He's visiting the sets. He's hanging around. It's not like he's there during the whole production or anything, but we see pictures of him holding Grogu. We see pictures of him sitting in a director's chair behind Filoni or anything like that. So, you know, it's all good.
Yeah,
it's all good.
It's all good.
That's not to say that George is entirely happy with what's happened with his franchise after he left, but you know, you got to let go of those things, and that's difficult to do when you're the creator, right? You're the guy who built it.
When you're and he's very controlling.
Yeah,
and I don't mean that like in a bad way or anything like that, but you can look at his tenure with Star Wars and how he dealt with everybody else outside. It was completely controlling, and it was a power for control. And then, and then you got to give up control and give it, and then let other people do things. It's not going to. It was fairly obvious to me it wasn't going to go smooth. You know what I mean? I didn't expect the white slaver stuff to pop out, but like in that way. But it is, it's really not that surprising.
No, it's hard. It's very, very hard. And the only way to stop that, and you can see it in, and I know I keep beating the same dead horses over and over and over again, but you go back to the original trilogy and the special editions he released, and then the tweaks he made after that, all the way to McClunky when he sold it to Disney, right? All of that George put in, and the request, hey George, can we see the theatrical release, the one that you first put in the theaters that we saw when we were kids? No, because that's not the Star Wars I want you to remember. I want you to remember this version of the Star Wars. And if I make more changes, I want you to forget this and remember that. And it's just that amount of control saying you can't even see the thing that we put in theaters that I released back in the day, and just not gonna. No. So you can understand with that kind of micro control over the franchise, and I believe it's written into the contract when they sold it, right? Like there's certain rules about what they're not allowed to do during his lifetime with the movies he released. So they're contractually obligated to some of those things, and some of it's not contractually, but rather, promises that they made to him that they're still adhering to for whichever reason. But then to watch that franchise go its own direction in a way that you would not have gone is very, very difficult. And I know that from my own personal life, that my wife and I were involved in a church for 30 years, and I co-pastored it. I was an elder, I was song leader. I did all the things over the years. Our kids were baptized there. We were married there. And eventually we had to step away from that church. And you watch where that church is going when you're not there, and you still care. And you're like, why do I care? Right? I need
was
to
this church in San Bernardino? Yeah, was up in the mountains? Was this the
Village
you're talking about?
Okay.
No.
Okay. It's just I can associate.
That's how I feel about Weezer, Santa. The first two records are so good, and then I want every other time Weezer for the last 25 years puts out a record, I listen to it and I go, "Why, Weezer?"
Stone Temple Pilots. I feel the same way.
I could just understand it because my own life and having that kind of passion around something, and then letting go of it, and still not wanting to let go of it because it's such a big part of your identity of who you are and how much of yourself you poured into it. And that's the thing, is he poured a lot of himself into it, and it's his identity to a large degree. And then to let it go and see how other people do it without you isn't, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done that. And all he can do is tear it apart. And that's not enjoyable, right? So I get it.
Well, the real question though, Santa, right? Now that you've depressed us all, was what can they do to get everyone super excited? And I guess the answer would be a trailer, because Jason tells me trailers solve all problems. So
they do.
I think
today we started the show with May going, "Star Wars is dead." It's only because she doesn't have anything. Once there's like an Acolyte trailer, she's like, "This is going to be the best Star Wars I've ever seen in my whole entire British life." To be fair, she never says that on her channel, just ours, right? Like she used to start off her videos with Star Wars. Star Wars is dead. Like, oh wow, I'm up now. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, do it. Punk. Punk.
The hyperbole that is the internet is, the internet. But at the same time, she's great. She's great. But you bring up a good topic, Rob. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. When are we going to get the Acolyte trailer? There's been rumors.
In a few weeks. No, well, there's been rumors by idiots. outside of that one, outside of cryptic quality HD 4K 720p. I can't remember his name, but that guy, other than him going like that's been rated, that which is true. That's like a thing. Everything else has been a bunch of fan mathers playing games, going like, oh my gosh, there's a privated video. That means it's the Acolyte trailer. Never mind as Bespin pointed out, that there's a clip from the Bad Batch every single week at that exact point.
Well,
It's like,
it's so
and then
funny
that's what
because they also did like a Falcon fly through.
Yeah, which is probably was that. It probably was that. But if we're gonna Occam's razor it, we could go down like the list before we get to it being the Acolyte trailer.
I can talk specifically about that even, right? Because that came out, and then I clicked the button and it said it had been pulled. And then people started going like, oh, there was a secret video in there they didn't want us to see. It really wasn't the Falcon fly through.
It was the Darth Plagueis reveal, and then they changed it.
And then
no, cryptic. The cryptic
was
account
video
is perfect. No shade on the cryptic account. To be clear, if they say something, it's in the realm of accurate and has foundations of truth. So I don't mean this. Seth, no, not to get confused at all. They're the ones who is totally on. It's everyone else who is just insanely bored with Star Wars because there's something going on.
Or it's the new Sifo Dyas Chronicles, Jason, coming to Disney Plus next summer, right? What? And it's all about how he raised the money secretly through Bitcoin to fund that army, so we can shut up with these stupid how they fund the army? Who cares?
I'll believe it when Screen Rant says it.
When you get the answer, is that going to fix all your problems with this story? No, like just let it go. Like it doesn't.
That's another good point. It is look, the nature of the internet now is finding things to complain about or things to point out.
Now, where were you when Ain't It Cool News reigned supreme, Santa? Like,
to the talkbacks, saying the prequel sucked, of course.
Well, even the
Misa liked it. Remember that? I remember that headline, Jason. Misa liked it. Yeah, come on.
Well, even the best things people kind of drill into to find minutia or pick apart, and then and then say, well, they messed this up or they messed that up because of whatever. And it's all after the fact. And you'll find it a lot of times in videos where people's initial reactions, right? They watch the thing. They're like, wow, that was awesome. And then somebody will find a thing that they can pick at. It's like picking a thread on a sweater, right? And then
sweater song. If you pull the thread and then they become exposed.
Well, that's true too. But they all of a sudden now they hate it because that one thread they picked at it too hard, and you just got to stay away from that stuff, right? But Baymax, Santa was in the PT hater mob. Well, sort of. I defended the Phantom Menace to all my friends, like everybody. I defended it. Look, it's great. It's fine. You're making too much out of that Jar Jar thing. It was perfect. Oh, you guys are way too hypersensitive about all those accents they used. It's not racist. It's just Star Wars.
It was fun though, right, Santa? Right?
Look, that was. No. I'm just telling you. The argument I made.
It was fun,
and then Clone Wars came out, and I said, nope. I'm out. You guys, you're all right.
Attack of the Clones, not Clone Wars, Santa. All right.
Yeah,
they couldn't call it Clone Wars because it'd have wars in the title twice. And fans would get confused.
Attack of the Clones broke me, and I was just like, no thanks.
See, that day, Santa and I had a shared event. We were having that canon event. We were, I walked out the theater and threw that Dooku saber right in the trash. Like,
you guys are as fun as Miyazaki.
Yeah, I was like,
I am as fun as Miyazaki, Jason. Like, thank you.
I wasn't going around singing that song about what Star Wars did to my childhood, but I was feeling like
that was not my Star Wars. Right? The R word being used in conjunction with their childhood was vile. And I would get into arguments in college with male and female fans that would use that word, and I'm like, that's disgusting. It's a freaking movie, dude. No, you don't like it, fine, but don't use that word.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
You're exactly right, Rob. And people overuse those kind of illustrations with things all the time. right?
The Matrix sequels are my 2002. Like we can all agree to that, right? What? No. No.
But Attack the Clones, yeah, that's not my Star Wars. I'm like, that's not my Star Wars. I'm out. I gotta check. Is that my lunch coming? Is that my wife, or is that the package she's expecting? I
By the way, somebody's getting backhanded because you expect both of those, all three of those things right now.
It's my wife's delivery. I'll be back. I'll be back.
Santa's keeping those Funko people in check. You know what I mean? He's got to keep them working to keep the.
He goes into the closet. He pulls out that Kylo Ren cross-bladed lightsaber, and the Panera Bread delivery boy's just like, "What, man? Master Skywalker," and he's like.
Let's be fair. Darth Panera sounds like something Lucas would have come up with. Right?
Oh yeah, he'd be like Darth Paneras, and you're like, what?
Right.
This fat guy.
Right. Yeah.
This fat guy.
Chipotle sounds like Boba Fett's companion, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Oh, it'd be like Chipotle
right?
Organa would be a new character he created.
Chipotle.
You're just taking the burrito place in Princess Leia and mashing him up into Chipotle Organa. You can't do that, dude.
Be a great food tie-in, though, right? Wouldn't it? I mean,
oh yeah, no.
$60 on a burrito, get some Star Wars out of it, you know?
Yeah, if Disney would talk to us, we could get some promotions going right now, you know?
Right.
But whatever, man. Whatever, bro. RF Gaming Channel says saw Phantom Menace in the theater probably 7 times opening week. People were hyped right away. Midnight showing had beach balls bouncing around, crazy atmosphere. It was months later people complained. So like the way that it went for me was you had critics who were being hard on it, but it was during like the edgelordy phase of the internet. And so a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's so edgelordy. Like I don't agree with it, or I don't believe it, or whatever." But then like generally speaking, people who were going into it were just like, I didn't see anybody leaving the theater crying or mad and stuff like that. But you did have it playing out in the media first. Like Ron Howard had to write the letter about Jake Lloyd, about like what they were like. What are you guys doing? Why are you guys picking on like I think it was a Variety? I can't remember who it was now, but he like had to write like an open letter going like, you guys are being jerks to it as
a child actor.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah,
one. Yeah. And he was right too as well.
Of course, yeah. And then so yeah, it did, but it wasn't. And I think though, generally speaking, the verdict wasn't out until the Attack of the Clones experiments. And the problem with Attack of the Clones is it didn't do one experiment. It was how corny and sappy can I write this and it be okay? Oh, how can I try a new digital camera? It's like you needed to pick one on that movie. And people at Lucasfilm have told me, I've heard this more than one time, and this is for years ago. That was the one where George says, I really did drop the ball. I made mistakes. Like that's
we've talked about this one before. Like in terms of picking, I mean, look, when you see the scene in the beginning documentary when Lucas is putting up the storyboards and he's using highlighters to show what's a visual effect shot and what's real. And yellow is visual effect, and orange is real, and it's all yellow. As
if he would even know and make the call, though. That's the comedy of the whole.
No, he had a pretty good idea, though. What would be? No, he knows how. He knew enough. No, he knew what was going to be. Look, theoretically,
mechanic
figurine.
To do this car. He doesn't know how to fix the car, though.
But I can say this. He has. Just think about this. When you look at the pre-production art, and that movie was in pre-production for almost 3 years. The battle droids are obviously all going to be CGI, okay, because those are mechanical droid armies. They need hundreds and thousands of these. At the time, the Nemodians, which look like they look just like the battle droids, but like Anunnaki aliens, were going to be CGI. He had planned. The Gungans were going to be planned CGI, and it's like you start to do all that, something's going to give. That's why we had that conversation. I'm like, look, maybe the better thing would have been, hey, if we're going to do a Yoda that has to walk around and do stuff, maybe Yoda would have been the CGI character, like, and
he wanted to.
Right. But the CGI character, not, and then the robot's fine because that's easy to pull off, but the organic stuff, you got to get people endeared to your CGI character, and they
Yeah.
created a character that annoyed the people in the movie. Like Obi-Wan's like, whoa, another pathetic life form, and everyone's like, yeah, that's right, it's pathetic. I'm like, it's hard when the character already is annoying everyone to also be on board and feel sympathy for him. You know, like
Yeah, a couple things. One, Jason, bad news. Kathy didn't get your lunch. You're on your own. I know it's probably worse news for Bespin because he can't even get the crumbs that fall through the floorboards. But
I'm mailing those to him so he can.
My baby boy is sleeping. My baby boy is sleeping.
But
I mail him my crumbs now, so he has food. So,
and I'm just one off, but because I had to run. But I saw Baymax put the where was it here? He said the tick right here it is. Attack of the Clones meadow scene right in the tick was cringe. Yeah, that was cringe. The droid factory, terrible. And then the reveal of the clone army, where they're all like animated clones and it's giant.
I don't know about the animated. That scene is meta though. That's what's weird because Yoda says begun the Clone Wars have, as if there was a prophecy of a Clone Wars coming. He could just, like you wouldn't know you were in the Clone Wars until after the war started. No, at the beginning of Vietnam, they go begun the Vietnam War has. Like it doesn't quite work that way. You know? So like it's just a little meta, that scene. The writing the bug, the flea thing, yeah, it's inappropriate for the love scene, but getting a character to write a CGI creature to this day rarely looks well. Like even the first season of Mando, when Mando gets on that creature, I'm like, we still haven't figured this out. Have we? Like, have we not gotten this down yet?
You can't come on my show and then not call the blurg a blurg. It's a blurg, Rob. It's not a creature. It's a blurg.
But I barely remember Jason's name.
To their credit, look at that stormtrooper in the special edition on the Adubac, and he's like, what is he like walking around?
Look good
and then look at how they got that. They got that down. That's what we've got. We didn't get the other, but we got that. They can ride blurgs now.
But the stormtrooper is at least like in arm, but it's still, it looks weird when it's bouncing. It's just a weird thing.
Well, yeah,
like
the Uncanny Valley thing pops in no matter what. Some of that stuff.
We buy it better when they're on mechanical CGI things.
Actually, Rob, it's because the gravity is different on Arvala 7, and if you just knew that, you would. There was a
really good interview lately, where Ewan McGregor is talking about doing some of the CG work. Yeah,
he says Ewan. He's like a little Filoni on that one. Ewan.
He says at the one point he's supposed to be riding a creature.
Yeah.
But there's this box with like a blue or a green, like
for the EOB.
Yeah. And he has to straddle that thing and act like he's riding it. Like, but it's a box sitting on the floor. And well,
even on the Lord of the Rings, they had people riding horses, but it's still, it doesn't. It's the compositing. A lot of that's compositing too, but the digital doubles, our motion tracking is much better now than it was in 2002. I give them a credit for the technicality.
Have you seen the error in this last Bad Batch episode?
What's a
Rob has, yeah.
Now, have you seen the error?
Yeah, Rob did. Rob saw it. He pointed it out to me.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he stayed up. He stayed up that night, and he stayed up late, and he told me about it. No.
Let me see if I can share this with you guys so you can see it.
Yeah.
There's a floating helmet. Have you seen the floating helmet?
Oh yeah, floating helmets.
Yeah. So let me share.
Wait, so is there a Force Ghost in the Bad Batch?
No.
They left a CGI bug in the shot, right?
Yeah.
One got away.
It's here. Hold on. I'll have it for you.
Those are my favorite Toy Story excerpts when they show you that somehow like the renderer will skip the skin, so it's just teeth and like eyeballs acting. It's the best.
So here. It's fantastic.
It's just floating back there.
Yeah, it's just floating back there. It's just a helmet. It's not.
Wait,
To be
like
fair,
this-
with all the compression on your streaming sites, do you really notice it?
it's not this dude holding a helmet, and it's not this dude. Like this is just a helmet back there, just randomly
Yeah.
floating
that was
around.
hilarious, yeah.
It's
It
great
happens.
because it's like an empty helmet. Even the asset, right? They've got these helmet assets that it's like just
Maybe he's
there.
got a cloaking device. Maybe he's short and he has a cloaking device on his body.
It's great. It's great. It makes me so happy. Okay, next week, I'm going to be in Montreal. We leave 6:00 Tuesday morning, and then we don't come back until Sunday afternoon. So I'll not be around to talk
You gotta
about.
go see Godspell?
No,
Godsmack.
Oh, damn.
no, there was
Smash
something else that's going to be in Montreal the same week I'm there, but I'm not going to go see that either. One, it's very inappropriate. Second, I've got too many other things to do other than go see that.
Victor
And,
Garber
all of the
burlesque
sets
show.
Grassy.
No, it's a bit of a burlesque Star Wars kind of
See
thing.
burlesque, Jason. Didn't I tell you burlesque?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I told you. I called it. Mhm.
But I'll be in Montreal, so I don't get to talk about Bad Batch episode 8 predictions or expectations for next week. So if you guys don't mind indulging me just a little, Rob, I know, but would you? What do you think for this next episode? What do you think the story may be headed? If you
Well,
were to guess.
So what's going to happen is that one character who's like the dark trooper looking guy, it's going to turn out it's Bosk.
No,
Who's the boss?
It's going to be a big reveal. It has to be a big reveal, you guys, about who that is.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It's going to be crazy.
Well, so this goes back to what Meg was saying. I know some things.
Yeah.
One of the things I know is that we do not know who that person in that thing is by the end of the next episode. That's a thing I know. We don't know who that is. Also, was so beyond that, it's all speculation. Is it Tech? Is it Cody? No, and no, it's not.
It's the original Ray, right? Nobody.
Nobody. Hey, what was it in the Ahsoka series? Everybody was the guy that ended up being just gas. Who was that
Oh yeah, the Smoke Man.
guy? Yeah.
Smoke him if you got him. Snoke him if you got him.
Snoke him if you got him. It could be, some experimented strand cast, but more likely it's just some clone who went through what he went through, and now he's.
I think
chasing.
people are missing the what's the saying, the forest for the trees or whatever. This is about the. I think this is how we get to the Death Troopers, and
Yes.
that's the evolution here. But it's not like it's the most important link in the whole thing either. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I think that's where we're at with this. I think we're going to see this evolve into that, which is what I said that since before this season started. I'm like, that's what this is.
Yeah.
And but nobody cares what I have to say, because it's not as fun as naming that member berry character that you like from that thing that you want to happen.
So here's another thing. Star Wars fans
they don't.
Yeah,
think.
Star Wars fans do this, and it makes me crazy.
Yeah.
Is they keep trying to make the universe smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Always trying to make the universe smaller.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a new character. It's brand new. You've never seen him ever before. Oh, wait. I'll bet you it's somebody we know, right? It's somebody we already know. It's already another. It's somebody. It's not. It can't be new. It's got to be somebody else, right? It always like that. It like the Snoke theories. Snoke couldn't be Snoke. He had to be Plagueis. He had
you're
to be.
saying it is Mace Windu. That's what you're saying right now. It is Daniel Logan.
Of course.
That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going to be somebody you know. It's just not. Yes. And I agree with Mike Porter on this. That show Ghosts, that's the CBS series. It's kind of dumb and it's a comedy and it's hilarious and I love it. But yeah.
That's necromancy. Yeah. We don't watch that kind of stuff around here, Santa.
Santa still watches CBS. That's cute.
I watch Paramount Plus. I don't watch CBS. Episode 8. I predicted it for 6 and 7, but I'm going to continue on it. I think we're going to go back to Pabu. I think we've got to get back there to bring Fee back into the story, and then the clones or the not clones, the Empire shows up with that Clone X or whatever he is, right? The guy that's going to lead us into the Dark Troopers. He's going to be there, and whether it's it's X03 or 04 or 05, they're numeric. They've already said, like the one we saw a couple seasons ago, that was X1. The guy that is here, he's X2. Oh. The next one that when this guy dies and they dispatch the next one, or no, X2 was the one was in the hold. X3 is the one who went to get X2 out or kill him, and now X4 will be the one after that. It's just, when
I was watching the last episode, my Disney Plus app started crashing when Crosshair's getting choked underwater.
Oh,
and I thought he was dying.
I did too.
I thought he was actually dying because it looped and repeated it, and then the app crashed. But it looked like it did twice. I was like, "Did he just die?" And I had to go back to it. I'm like, "Oh no, he's fine. He's cool."
No, I was super stressed out. I was like, "He can't die that way."
It's not drowning.
Right. Yeah, you got to manually choke him, right, with your own 2 hands, right, Sam?
Oh yeah, you got to get like the Accord, and when he's like just to get in a cab or something.
Right.
Put it around.
Dramatic conceit, right, Santa? It's kind of,
I think that Crosshair will die. I'm quite. Look, Baymax is catching me. Fans that make the universe smaller make me crazy. Also, Santa, Pabu is Scarif.
Yeah.
It was somebody else's theory that I shared. I'm saying it could be Scarif.
I think a whole thing about that making stuff smaller though. It's like, do you make the world smaller? Because if you do, you don't make Avengers movies, do you? Like there's just a way of doing it with tact and a way of doing it stupid.
Yeah. Jedi Mike's right. During the show, I freaked out during that during my watch party when that was happening, because I think Crosshair will die, but I think he's got to finish his redemption arc, and he's not all the way there. And I thought he needs a win. He needs a win before we kill him.
I don't know, man. When in that one episode when he's all like, "I sent you the thing. I said don't come. I said," and you still did it, and I'm the one who, after telling you all that, brought her back. I felt like that right there was kind of the moment that was like the.
Well, there's that, and then in his last episodes, you had Hunter defending him to the other guys, and you had him connecting to Omega in a much less.
She's too picking now. She's too.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not butting heads so much, right? They're not correcting one another. They're more on the same team. So I think he's almost finished, but he keeps missing on his shots. What he needs to do is he needs to make a shot and then be like, "I'm back, baby," and then we can kill him.
I want Hunter to live because I want them to get Tamara Morrison and to make a Rambo movie with Tamara Morrison as Hunter. Yeah, because I would watch that. I would watch that. Yeah, he's like, all I want is something good to eat, and then they're like, "No,
they drew first clones, not me."
Yeah,
piece of speculation because I've got to go, but I got to get back to work. But the last bit of speculation, and we've talked about this again, but I'll bring it up until we get more news. Is there going to be another Clone Wars Bad Batch type or Rebels type animated series following the Bad Batch that's going to be a multi-season kind of story that we can follow.
I keep hearing stuff about the Tales of the Jedi franchise. I just keep hearing and things that make me think that's probably the future.
I think that's a brilliant idea because they can tell small story arcs forever and pick any era, right?
Yeah.
You want to do prequel era, you want to do Rebels era, you want
it's
to
all
do
important minutia that should be on screen, but really probably won't have a reason to be on screen in the next decade, like the Count Dooku stuff. I loved all of it. There's no reason for it to pop up it's like killing Maul in Star Wars Rebels, I think was a catastrophic error on their part. Good for Rebels, but not good for Star Wars itself. But
Right.
those little ones, the ones that they're doing over in there is the kind of stuff that, I want to see how it happened. And most Star Wars fans aren't readers, so they can put it in a book and talk about that, but they're going to get it secondhand or through Wikipedia. So that's I think that's where it's going.
I think that's low hanging fruit. It would be really easy to do, and you can tell. And I like the idea of 2, 3, 4 story arcs, and then you move on to another one. But would they do it as like a 24 episode season or something like that, rather than what we've been getting with these like 8 or 12 or 6 episode seasons?
Yeah. And like Baymax says, let's see Dark Disciple finished. Like Dark Disciple would be a great short or a great few episodes for that Tales of the Jedi kind of stories.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. I'm for it. Rob, thanks for dropping in. Always appreciate when you come on the stream and I can agree with you. That's great.
Timestamp those agreements. They don't happen often.
It's great. No, I appreciate it.
My golden Fortnite, Rob. Sorry, I got issues.
And I just want to say, I want to see Lucasfilm and them let the anime studios make full series off some of those shorts, like the Ronin or the Ninth Jedi or the Pod Racing and everything.
Bespin showed up in the chat, but he didn't bother to join the stream. I see how you are.
Don't acknowledge him. Let's just act like he's not here.
No, I think he hates me. Like he shows up on your show, but does he come on Santa's show? No.
Yeah,
he's like,
he doesn't experience joy either, Santa. We've never heard him laugh. All right.
And then he mocked me by putting my face on his image. I don't know what that's all about. Right?
Well, I mean, last holiday season, he was celebrating Kwanzaa. He didn't even like Christmas. He told me.
Hey, we both did
best.
that.
But look, I have my own tinfoil hat theory about Tales, but I'll leave it until I find out more. My tinfoil hat theory is they could make it Tales of anything. And just do Tales of, instead of like what if ... they could do Tales of ... It could be Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Sith, Tales of the
Tales of the Star Wars cooks.
Yeah. You could right? Tales of the Blurgs, and you could do all kinds of stories with any topic you wanted, just by sort of like the what ifs, where it just like what if, and then who's it about? Well, this is about Jedi. This is about Sith. This is about Luke Skywalker. This
Tales
is about
Ghostbusters. Oh no!
Yeah. Why not? No. Tales of the Wookiees. I don't know. Tales of Jabba's palace. Well, that would be great. That'd be great.
Those are beloved books. They're not that great, but they are beloved books. You know what I mean? I
read that book on my way to basic training and just stopped.
Really?
I'm good. I'll just sit in the plane and wait.
I like that one where IG-88 is the Death Star.
Jedi Mike,
right?
The world between worlds. No, I knew it was coming. I knew somebody was going to do it. Tales of
he means Warner Brothers Wednesdays.
It's
an Instagram thing he follows.
Yeah. I'm on board for a Tales of ... There was rumors of like a what if was for Star Wars. No, thanks. I would rather have a Tales of ... and we'll see. I don't think they'll
They
do
already
it.
have a what if for Star Wars. It's called Star Wars Visions. None of those are canon stories.
I agree with you. I think that is Visions, but Tales of, it could be, they could do 24 episodes.
But that's just what what they do. Remember when there were those idiots saying there was a big series coming and it was like serious? They weren't. It's like just the last thing that they saw that they liked. You know what I mean? Is how it goes.
Yeah, a certain point of view, the animated series. They could do that. But Tales of, I think you could cover all those things. And then you're not locked into, Bad Batch. You could continue Omega's story, Ventress's story, any surviving Bad Batch members. You could continue.
Can't wait. Big. Gonna steal the internet with that one. It's just gonna all that X-Men animated news is gonna fall right off the bar when that hits. They're just gonna abandon the mutants. And
how did Fat Boss get a restaurant? We want to know.
I want to know.
How do Bomar monks go to the bathroom?
Nobody knows.
Answer all the questions.
No, look. People did say that. What's his diner? The forearm guy. I just lost his name. Dexter. Yeah, and Dexter's in the High Republic books, by the way. But Dexter's Diner. Tales of Dexter's Diner. I would go for that.
Yeah. You learn about how they used to call him Sexter, because if you got your phone number, he was just sending you pics you didn't want, and he got 4.
Yeah.
Got 4 of them.
Yeah,
Mike Porter
upstairs and downstairs.
Mm-hmm. Mike Porter's got a Star Wars dad joke that starts off very non-Star Warsy, but I give you a hint that is still a Star Wars dad joke. It's all in the payoff of the punchline. What is satisfying and has almost no calories?
What, Mike Porter? Tell us.
Diet Yoda. Diet I will.
Okay. All right, Mike Porter.
You could read into that, Santa, in a very inappropriate way.
You could.
I'm just saying. You want to be very careful when you talk about drinking from male characters.
So much. They're like, hey, if we could just clone this guy, we could cure hunger and allow people to not gain weight. I'm just feeding up the little Grogu all over.
That sounds more like a plan to you, Santa, than I think a joke. But
there's a way you can read that. It just is. It's
one way out, right? One way out, Santa.
On the plate. It's not good. It's not good. All right. Enough silliness. I've had a great time hanging out. I'll miss you guys next week. I won't be able to catch the best. Well, I miss hanging out with you guys. I probably won't be able to catch your live streams. We've got events planned up there, the work stuff. So we'll see you when I get back. And you guys have a great weekend, great week, and we'll be in touch. All right.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you all for being here. And until next time, my friends, Merry Christmas. And may the force be with you always. Bye-bye.